What is up, George?
What's happening?
We got some books in the mail this month.
It's been a pretty exciting month.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a book today. What are we talking about?
Starlight Cats by Shane Davis and Yanzi Lin.
Yeah, we are. We are. How do we do these reviews generally?
There's three categories.
Hmm.
There's story, there's art, and there is book quality. Those are the
Hmm.
three categories that we go with. We don't necessarily go in any sort of order. We just kind of mention those three. So where would you like to start today?
I say let's go with the story first. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do story.
the basic background on the story is it's about a little girl, big adventure, cats in space is the old saying, but it's about a young girl named Rebecca who finds a cat wandering the streets of Singapore, cat by the name of Barnaby, who is more than he seems. An adventure ensues, and she meets the Starlight Cats, a team of four cats that are have powers based on the jewels that they carry. And unbeknownst to her, a gem that was once her grandmother's is one of the jewels, and she's endowed with these powers as well.
Hmm. I would say that's a good
And
wrap
you
up.
learn about the villains, Catamus Prime being the main villain, the Varican. You learn a little bit about the lore of the Merlion, and it was definitely an interesting story.
Uh, what were some of the things that you liked about the story, George?
First of all, I like that it had a start and a finish. Where it ended, even though it left off with more to come, it had a finite ending to the story, which I really appreciated. A
Hmm.
lot of these books that we get, there's more to come and it kind of leaves you hanging. That was not the case with this book. This is a complete story here with just the main book. I'm not even talking about the supplemental. The
Hmm.
main story alone builds this world, introduces you to the characters, and leaves you satisfied at the end.
Nice.
How about you?
I surprisingly, I enjoyed the story quite a bit. I mean, I thought there was yes, there was elements that came full circle in the
Hmm.
story. The bully being part of it, and there
Hmm.
is a tag saying some spoilers, George.
Hmm.
So it starts and ends with the bully. Also, it's interesting that it that the adventure she goes on with the Starlight Cats falls with her starts with her sleeping, waking up from sleep, and then ends with her waking up from sleep.
Hmm.
I thought that was very interesting. Um, I feel like this story is also a love letter to Star Wars from Shane
Hmm.
because of Cadmus Prime and then the Master. I forgot the name is only mentioned once in the book, so I don't know his name. But there's a scene in there that's very reminiscent of the Emperor Vader kneeling before the Emperor scene. So I feel like that's a nod to Star Wars. Um, you get a sense of who Barnaby is. I feel like we'll learn the rest of the cats later, except for like Salty. He has these lines,
Hmm.
and one of them was I thought was especially prudent for Shane, where Salty says, "What's he say? I've seen humans do dumber things on the internet or whatever." I was like, "Yeah, Shane wrote
Now,
that
now,
part,
you've
right?"
mentioned to me that you thought this was a, a fan homage to Star Wars. I've heard Shane mention the Last Starfighter. I look at it differently. Now, of course, I know more about comics than I do movies or TVs, but I view it as a merge between Power Pack and Voltron, where you have this youthful team with superpowers that just get them out of nowhere, and they go on this a massive, intergalactic journey.
Yeah, it
That,
might be a combination of all those things, George.
mhm,
Because I could see the last starfighter elements because she's pulled in this world that's not her own, right? So that's
mhm,
the very last Voltron, as you said,
mhm.
because well, the Merlion. I mean, what did you think about that?
Well, I knew much less about this story than I realized. I did not know, as I told you earlier, that the Merlion was a hero in this story. I thought it was the villain. I thought the Merlion was one of the villains, but no, she is imbued with this power that is the Merlion, which I think they refer to as Singa.
Yeah,
in the
Singo.
story.
Hmm.
And there's an image in the story of when she gains this power and you see this Merlion power come out of her. And I thought that was really amazing. I was not aware of that. I was also not aware that there, and once again, there is spoilers in this, that there was a villain beyond Cadmus Prime. So he's not
Hmm.
the main. I would view Cadmus Prime as a Darth Vader type
Yeah,
character.
exactly.
And
Yes.
there is an emperor, which I
Mm.
was not aware of, and that really blew my mind. I don't know if he kept that secret or that's something I just wasn't aware of, but when I saw that, I was really floored by that.
Right. So, uh-oh. Uh, what would you give the story overall, George?
Well, before we even get to the grade, I do want to mention that one of the
Oh.
things we do about the story is we talk about the lettering and the editing. And
Hmm.
although there was no editor credit, or unless I missed it, I don't see it. The lettering was by Eric Weathers. I thought both were excellent in this book. I saw nothing that snapped me back to reality when I was reading this book. Did
No,
you?
it was very immersive. I thought Eric did a great job actually. With some of the sound effects. There was one in particular that I noted. Now I forgot what it was, but yeah, like I really enjoyed the lettering and no outside of there was a defense. There was they did say defense, and they spelled it as the British spelling and not the
With the
English
C.
spelling.
Yep, I
Yeah,
saw.
but it still didn't. I think on my second reading, I noticed it. I didn't even notice it on the first time I read it. So usually before I do these reviews, I read the book once and then I go back and read it again, and then I can enjoy the art a little bit more. That's how I
hmm
do it. So, yeah, I mean, the editing. I'm gonna think that Yanzi edited it. She did a
Okay,
fantastic job. Yeah.
agreed. So yeah, overall, I give the story an A minus.
Yeah, I'm with you. A minus for me. So, what do you think could have been better?
I thought the scene when they're on the planet where the Starlight Cats were was a bit elongated. Like when she gets captured by the guards and she's kind of
Hmm.
held captive. I thought that was just a not even just that scene, but that whole section when they're kind of building the backstory was just a tad bit elongated.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of with you a little bit. Where I thought I would have liked to see the actual city a little bit more instead of just a palace.
hmm
And that's the only as far as the story goes. That's my only big complaint. So there
Right,
you
but
go.
one of the things I really loved was, it starts in reality. It's very, you see her getting bullied, and it
Mhm,
ends with a very satisfying ending. Even though there's more to come, and you can tell she's contemplating what's going to happen. That ending was very satisfying when she confronts her bully.
mhm. All right, let's get to the art, George.
Well, this is going to be the star of the show.
let's
Uh,
talk. Let's get into it.
Yanzi and Shane clearly know what they're doing. This is not going to come as a surprise, but Shane is absolutely the master of faces and facial expressions, and they did not disappoint. That team did not disappoint in this book whatsoever.
No, I wouldn't say so, and I would say even more so. His layouts, the way his, I guess, pacing, the way his layouts are. He's a master storyteller, in my opinion. Like
hmm
his page turns are really good. Uh, and the art, I mean, we're talking about the art. I mean, you have the expressions. I have a few examples now, George. I pulled this example up. Both of
hmm
you and I, when we both see this, it's like, oh, it's a Shane Davis book,
hmm
right? I mean, this comes straight from Lanterns,
hmm
in essence. So, I got another. I think I had a few more examples. Let me stop sharing here.
Two of the things I've often heard from artists that they don't want to draw are animals and children.
Right.
And this book is all animals. In fact, like I said, you knew this. I did not. There's not a single adult human in this book whatsoever. It's just Rebecca and the cats.
And how did you feel like?
Unbelievable. You could tell right away by looking at these characters that they're kids. Like a lot of
Right.
times when you see comic book creators draw children, they just look like shorter adults.
Hmm.
But he and Yanzi both managed to draw these characters. You could tell right away these are useful characters,
Right.
and the animals are absolutely, these are cats. This is extraordinarily well done.
Right. So I mean, you could see you were talking about emotion here. You could see Rebecca upset, but not only that, but as you were saying on this bottom right panel, you're saying how he conveys that emotion with the animals as well. So there's an example. Here's another example. I thought it was really cool because Rebecca goes from sad to really pissed
Mm-hmm.
and real quick, but it's very easy to overlook. But he does a real good job. It looks like Barnaby is about to fade out right here. Like, so the expression is fantastic.
The facial expressions were incredible. The battle scenes were incredible. The two biggest reveals to me, one was when Rebecca finally uses her powers and you can see the Merlion rise from her.
Uh huh.
That splash, and then the splash when Catamus is talking to his emperor, as I'm using air quotes that you can't see, style character. Those 2 pages I did not know existed. I don't know if they've been revealed before. I'm glad you're not showing them here,
I
because
don't
if
want
you,
to show them
no,
some
I'm glad you're
spoilers.
not. But
Yeah.
those were special.
Yeah, there's a few
So
pages in here that are pretty special. This more than most other Comicsgate books, I feel like George belongs in LCS. Like the quality of the art alone, like dictates that.
I agree with you 100%. There was Salty, when I just look at him, just cracks me up. Just
Uh-huh.
looking at him makes me laugh. You can tell Jellybean is the kitten. You can tell Princess Lemore. She looks like one of the Aristocats to me in a little bit of a way when I see her. They
That's
all,
very yeah. That is Jan. Like you want to say what this is a love letter to Shane. I feel like Yanzi did this. For her, she designed a lot of these characters. George, you saw that in the making of book, and I do believe in a making of book they shout out aristocrats for Lamore.
but just think about that. They're drawing animals to even look differently. It's not just like a template. Each of these animals have their own design and their own character, and I think that's really impressive.
Hmm. So overall, what would you give the
This is the finest art I've seen in any Comicsgate book. I,
any
I,
comic
I,
period?
I can't give it a higher grade than A plus.
I would also give it A+. Although I would say I put it on par with Ethan on
Okay.
Cyber Frog Blood Honey. I don't know if it's better because they're so different,
Hmm.
but Shane, I mean, you could tell he really put in a lot into this book, and I appreciated it. And like the art is fantastic. So yeah, A+ for me.
Both Yanzi and Shane and the colorist. I just want to shout them out as well.
Good.
Um,
Candace Hahn.
Candace Hahn and Jason Wright are both listed as
Hmm.
colorists. I thought the colors in this book were absolutely beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nothing hid anything. Nothing was muddy. Nothing covered anything else up. Everything popped.
Hmm. So we do the physical quality. What did you think, George?
The book itself was great. This is 48-page standard perfect bound type book. Now we're only talking about the main book here, not the supplemental, correct?
Well, we could talk about both because I
Okay.
want to talk
They're
about the
they're they're
supplemental a little
they're
bit.
different. So the supplemental book has more of a matte, traditional saddle stitched binding, whereas the main book is a 48-page perfect bound high gloss cover.
Uh huh.
So just going off the main book alone, the book is beautiful. I hate to have to bring this up because I haven't mentioned it to anyone before, but I did find some imperfections on my one book, which I have said to no one. I feel bad kind of bringing it up in a review, but I do have to mention it. On
Uh
the
huh.
Roquefort cover, there were some scuffings on the cover, which were clearly done not in transit, not from packing, but probably received this way and packed this way. But the covers have like vertical lines going down the entire cover. I'm guessing maybe it was wet or it got scuffed in transit to Shane and Yanzi. I don't know, but that's the only real issue I have with the main book.
And it was one cover. It was just a one cover.
It
It
was
was
just on the
both.
Roquefort cover. The Merlion cover was immaculate.
And you haven't got with Shane on that
I
yet.
have not. I haven't reached out to him. I'm not even
Okay.
sure I will. I just,
Okay.
it's just something I want to. And for me, all I know, it's the only one of the hundreds that he sold where that was the case. But it did happen. I do want to mention it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
How about
Uh,
you?
yeah. I mean, I love the Matt. I'm glad Shane did this actually for one reason is because we talk about only death can save us and how I love it, and I thought no, I prefer Matt George. Like I like the matte cover on the supplemental more than the main cover. Now it doesn't affect my grade on quality. It's just a preference. But
Hmm.
it was interesting that he gave you one of each, and then which one I preferred. And I like the matte. I think it's really cool.
Would
So
you want to see a matte cover on a perfect bound, or you like the saddle stitch binding as well?
my like yeah, perfect bound matte, maybe with spot. What do they call it? Spot UV gloss, whatever the
Yeah,
heck.
yeah.
That would be my favorite. That would be my preferred like cover stock. Would be a matte finish with some UV whatever spot whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
And then square bound. That's my optimal CG book. But it was really cool that you got both of them, and you got a feel for both, George. That's
Hmm.
what I was saying. Overall, I didn't get the damages.
Hmm.
Again, an A for quality. It just this campaign for me knocked out of the park, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go A- on this one myself. Like I said, just because of those little imperfections that I saw. I don't even know where that comes from. Like, what do you do? Where is that done in quality control? I mean, who knows? They're handling hundreds, if not thousands, of orders. So
Hmm. So overall, what do you give it, George?
I gave it an A.
I'm with you. I give it an A. I don't give those out very often. Uh, I think this is the first time I've given art an A plus
Me
since.
too.
To go back, I would regrade the Chenu, but that was our first review, so
Hmm.
there you go. But yeah, this outstanding, I would say,
I'm
George.
excited for people who have not received their copy, especially those that were skeptical. And no offense, you were one of them.
Hmm.
Early on, you were skeptical. I
I
remember
still
you
was
saying,
a cat book,
I remember you saying George is buying this book for himself like a year ago before they even launched. I was like, yeah, I am, and I'm excited about it too. And I'd be curious to see those other folks who said, "Oh, I'm buying this for my daughter," or whatever, what they think of it themselves, because they're gonna be completely floored with this book.
Yeah, I was skeptical up until I read it. I was like, cat book, cat book, cat book, and then I read it, and I'm like, wow, like this is really good. So there you go. One of our favorite questions is the last question, George, of the review.
Are you glad you backed it, and would you back it again? I am absolutely glad I backed it, and I would back him again. How about yourself?
Absolutely. I'm glad I got this book. I think it's one of the better Probably, I don't, George. It's top five for me. Top five CG books for me. And yeah, I'd back Shane again in a heartbeat.
We're not going to have long to wait because he's got another campaign coming out shortly.
Uh,
Completely different, though.
yeah, well, I kind of like that, to be honest, George. I like that we have this book, and then Rex, which is totally different, and then hopefully he continues going back and forth between the
Mhm.
two. You know what I mean?
I would like it more if I wasn't so excited to see what happened next in the Starlight Cats adventure. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
now I know I got to wait that much longer for the next issue.
I know what you mean, but I feel like there's what he's doing with Rex. There's room for that in CG as well. So I'm kind of excited for Rex as well. But I do understand what you're saying.
Hmm.
So an A for both of us. Do you have anything else to add?
No, congratulations to Yanzi and Shane on their our first book that was just so great.
Yeah, especially a big shout out to Yanzi for her first book period.
Hmm.
So editing was outstanding, and yeah, the inks were great. So
I would like next time if there was an editor, even if it was just Yanzi, for them to be listed so we knew.
I think I know that she did go over it quite a bit, and I know that
Okay.
Shane. You know how Shane is; he's very particular, George. So,
Hmm.
yeah, great job by both of them. Um, Georgia, are we going to do warts and all next? Is that what we're
I,
going to
I
do?
I think we are.
Okay, so we'll probably come back with another review of warts and all. We will talk to you guys later.
Later, everyone.